Securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated, a broker-dealer, member FINRA, SIPC. Advisory services through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors Incorporated, a registered investment advisor. Cambridge and Clear Vista Financial are not affiliated. Discussions in this show should not be construed as specific recommendations or investment advice. Always consult with your investment professional before making important investment decisions.
Welcome, everyone, to the Spend Life Well Show, where we apply biblical wisdom to your financial life. I'm Certified Kingdom Advisor Mark Trice. In the studio with me always is Jesse Hamilton.
Hey, listeners, welcome to the show.
And this week, we're going to summarize a study that was recently released by Vanguard on and do a comparison on how you stack up compared to everyone else in America with your retirement plan.
Yeah, should be some interesting data, but I think we got a verse to kick it off today, right?
Yeah, James 1:10 says, "But the rich should take pride in their humiliation, since they will pass away like a wildflower." You know, the Bible, Jesse, warns many times to avoid the love of money.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, the Bible encourages us to save wisely for the future. So we thought it would be an interesting show if we dove into specific data set released by Vanguard recently. And this is not an endorsement of any of their products or services, but each year Vanguard releases this study called How America Saves.
Right. You can find it online if you just search How America Saves.
Right.
They do it every year.
It compiles data from approximately 5 million Americans who participated in their sponsor retirement plans in 2023. It gives us an interesting insight into how people are saving across every industry and demographic.
Right. So we know lots of people that work in all kinds of industries that have Vanguard-sponsored programs.
Yes.
So, Mark, I took a class at Baylor with a behavioral finance expert, so I tend to find people's behavior with money fascinating. It's true that sometimes we act weird with our money, and hopefully this data will help us understand a little bit of the behavior behind workplace plans and maybe expose some interesting habits that people have.
So let's just see how you stacked up with this other savers in America. So Jesse, let's jump into some observations that we took away from
I just
study.
Glanced over the data, and I encourage you to go make your own observations, but here's kind of what I gathered, what I found surprising. So 82% of plans offered Roth contributions.
That's great, because a lot of people don't even realize that their plan offers a Roth option.
Mm-hmm.
And what this means is that you can make after-tax contributions to your 401k or other retirement plan and have that money grow tax-free for as long as you want, and the withdrawals when you retire will be tax-free as well. This is huge because
so for most people, this is life-changing as far as taxes in retirement. If you can go ahead and take the tax burden now, you don't have to deal with it later.
And that's very important because taxes in retirement are like a ticking time bomb.
Right. So my next point, the average number of funds in 401k plans was 17.5, which is a much higher than I thought.
Yeah, because we see a number of plans that just have a few individual fund choices, and then we see others that have just way too many.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of one employer in particular. I will not name them, but they just have way too many choices. It's far too confusing to the participant to try to select. That's why we try to help our clients that have workplace retirement plans figure out which funds might be best for them in accordance with their risk goals and objectives.
Yeah. So we did a whole episode a while ago on target date funds. Don't get us started on all that, but 58% of participants actually use just a single target date fund.
And that's actually quite disturbing. Go back and listen to that particular podcast on target date funds. This was the industry's answer to the great financial crisis in 08 and 09.
Right.
And it's to put participants on a default based on when you hit the age of 65.
I wouldn't even call it autopilot. It's just kind of like, it's default. That's a good word.
That's right.
For it.
It's a default, and a lot of people think that because they're in that fund, that the plan sponsor is looking out for their retirement. They are not. Mm-hmm. So be careful about that. But that's a high number of participants that just automatically default. And that's what it is, really.
Yeah.
People are just defaulting in it because they're not making decisions about what investments they should be in.
Mm-hmm. So 8% of plans offer company stock.
This is not a bad thing.
Right.
But you want to make sure that you're not overly concentrated company stock.
Right,
A lot of
exactly.
people feel, Jesse, that I'm not being loyal if I don't own the company stock, and that's not true. In some ways, yes, it could be a good investment for you, but it depends on the company, actually.
Yeah. So 94% of plans offer hardship withdrawals, yet only 3.6% of people took them, which I thought was very low.
Yeah, and a lot of plans, I think there's maybe a point here about loans, maybe not, but that, you can take hardship withdrawals. But remember, folks, these monies that you're setting aside in your workplace plan are for your future retirement. If you take money out now, you are hurting that future retirement. So just be careful if you choose to make a hardship withdrawal.
And unfortunately, Mark, I think that's because people are just cashing them out and not actually taking the hardship benefit. But
Yeah, maybe so.
yeah. 76% of plans had automatic rollover when your balance was below $5,000. Just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, this is something, if you don't have a lot of money in the plan, they're going to send you a letter probably 90 days after you've left that employer. And if your balance is below a certain amount, they can just cut you a check. So you'll be taxed on that. And if you're below 59 and a half, you could be paying penalties as well for early withdrawal. So pay attention to those things. Do not let them sit in your junk drawer at home and ignore it. It could cost you a lot in taxes. Most people, whenever they leave an employer, we always typically advise having a conversation with your financial advisor about what to do with that old workplace plan. A lot of people feel like that if I'm no longer there, maybe I want to roll it over to either my new workplace plan or perhaps into my own traditional or a Roth IRA.
Well, check out that next point, Mark. 48% of participants, after they're terminated in 2023, left their funds in the workplace.
And folks, I don't quite understand this completely because this is like, if have you seen the movie Office Space, Jesse? Okay, Office Space. So the most important thing to that one guy they kept moving around is he wanted a stapler, right? Folks, you probably don't leave pictures of your grandkids or your children that you had on your desk. You don't leave them there when you leave your workplace because they're important. This is one of your biggest the assets that you have for retirement. Don't leave it behind unless you feel really comfortable with that plan and who the vendor is and the plan sponsor and all these different things. Make sure you're talking to a professional financial advisor before you decide to leave them there or even roll them over.
And then the last point here is actually even more painful, Mark. 33% of participants, after being terminated, took a cash lump sum.
Yeah, and that's a bad way to do it because you're going to pay taxes. If you're under 59 and a half, you're going to pay that penalty for early withdrawal. It's a double whammy, and you basically are undermining your future retirement.
So we have a couple of figures here. You can go find them in the report. The first one, I believe, is figure number 54, and it just compares different balances based on demographics. The first one is income. We'll stick with median numbers here.
So meaning half or below and half or above.
Exactly, right in the middle. Average is a little bit different because some people have huge accounts, some people have small accounts, and it throws off the numbers.
Well, let's just talk about a couple of income brackets, Jesse. Let's just do the 50 to 75,000 and the 75,000 to 100,000.
So the average or the median balance in the 50,000 to 75,000 income range was $24,939.
Okay. And meaning that half are above that, half are below.
Right.
And then the 75,000 to 100,000
is 51,000. So it actually doubles.
Now, for those that are making more than 150,000, the average balance there, the median balance, was what, 188,000? Okay.
You can see how much the data swayed though, because the average number there is $336,000. That's quite a big difference.
Right. So it just shows that many people that are making more than 150,000 are actually saving more.
Yeah.
Huh. Go figure.
Though they talk about ages here. So 25 to 34, the median balance is $14,933.
So are you ahead or below that?
Yeah.
So you just have to ask yourself, where do I stand?
Then let's talk about those 65 and older that are still working in the retirement plan.
Okay.
The median balance was actually only $88,488.
That's not good, but
I guess some of those people may have not been working at that company for very long,
Maybe not.
but
The average, though, is 272,000. That's a
Yeah.
little bit better.
it is.
What about the differences when it comes to men and women?
So the data shows that the women do not save as much as the men.
That's really surprising, especially since a lot of clients that we see, most of the women are very concerned about their financial future. They're also tend to be the folks that tend to be hesitant to save for the future.
Well, at least in my experience, Mark, when we have households with two, a husband and a wife both earning an income, we do tend to see the women save more. But the data shows it's not true.
Yeah. There are some observations that can be made, but the data from this survey is showing something a little bit different.
So let's talk about the high earning male and female comparison. The median balance for those making over $150,000, comparing men and women here. The median for the females was $171,000, and the median for the men was $214,000.
Okay.
So those are, taking away the compensation or whatever for the highly compensated people, it just shows that the women aren't saving quite as much.
Okay. All right. What's next?
This one's really interesting, Mark. It's figure 56 in the report. It shows the industries with the highest savings balances.
Okay. So what was the top? Let's talk about the top performing industry and the low performing industry.
So this is surprising to me, but the top highest balance industries are agriculture, mining, and construction.
Huh. That is surprising. The average balances in that sector, 185,511, and then the lowest, Jesse. This is a lot of our clients are in these industries.
Yes, I know you have a soft spot for educators, but they threw in education and health in the same category, and they are the lowest balances, with the median being $24,000.
Ouch. So folks that are in the education and healthcare industries, you need to step it up. Need to step it up and save a little more.
So then our last figure here I wanted to talk about was kind of allocations within the plans. So we talked about the average number of funds being 17. So a lot of people have access to a lot of different types of pretty high quality funds usually. But some people are still just using a target date fund, or maybe they're really lost on what to do. The highest portion of participants that were using target date funds, Mark, were in the $30,000 to $50,000 income range.
Okay.
And had the account balance under $10,000.
All right. They just didn't know what to do.
Yeah, they probably just weren't educated.
And folks, this is a service we provide to all our clients.
Right.
And if you're interested in getting that help, reach out to us at 254-282-0495, or you can also text us at that number. Just ask a question. We'll be glad to help you out.
Yeah. So let's talk about kind of the demographic that we work the most with, Mark, those approaching retirement, maybe a little bit older.
Sure.
Those in their job more than 10 years. So the 10 year is more than 10. 33% of those people are using target date funds.
Okay.
The average equity portion, so equities is like stocks and stuff.
Okay.
The average is 70% for the allocation.
And that says nothing about their age and stuff like that, but make sure you have the right allocation in your portfolio there for that.
Yeah. And only 1% of people are using brokerage options within their plans.
That's an additional option. A lot of people don't, but I would say Roth is the number one misuse or not being aware of that it's available in your plan.
Yeah.
The other is the self-directed brokerage options. Which is I always forget the nomenclature for it, but self-directed options in your 401k
usually
plan.
SBDA.
SBDA, thank you. That allows you to take control, have that with the help of an advisor. You can do it yourself. You can invest in things that are off the menu in your plan.
Opens up the menu to make whatever you want.
And that's so important for that diversification, because some plans just offer half a dozen, maybe 10 or so options. They may be appropriate for you and suitable for you, but if you had other choices, would you take advantage of that? That's called the self-directed brokerage option.
Yeah.
So, what about those folks that have balances over $250,000?
The target date fund percentage drops to 31%, still higher than we'd like to see. The average equity position there is 73%, so people actually have a little bit more equity there.
A little more risk taking, I guess you would say.
Exactly. But as we wrap up here, Mark, those 65 and older that are still working in the workplace retirement plan are holding 49% equity on average.
Well, and I think a lot of that has to do with the target date funds that are trying to convince them that you should get more conservative as you get older.
Meaning the opposite of equity is bonds, right?
That's right. And those really haven't worked as well in the last 3 or 4 years. In fact, in the last decade, we've seen bonds play a less significant portion of people's performance figures.
Right.
And so you want to make sure and this is one of the criticisms we have of target date funds. They're not really adapting to the market conditions. They're just simply putting you in a glide path, if you will, towards retirement. And the old attempt to create a portfolio is to, as you get older, you should get more conservative. But we're in a high inflation environment. Interest rates are somewhat higher now than they were.
Inverted yield curve.
And so those adages may not work for you in that situation. Make sure you're talking to a financial advisor that can help you with those things.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're blessed, Jesse, with having a workplace plan, that's great.
Use it.
Make sure you educate yourself on all the available options.
Mm-hmm.
We encourage you to find a certified Kingdom advisor near you that might be able to help. You can go to kingdomadvisors.com. You can also listen to one of the radio programs we sponsor in a couple of different markets. That's Faith and Finance. faithfi.org, I think, is the web address. But they might be able to help you with different things. They have lots of good topics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If your plan offers a Roth options, you should take advantage of that if you can make it work in your budget.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'll point out, Mark, if you have any of these things, the brokerage option, you're over 59 and a half, or you no longer work for the employer, you might have an opportunity to do some biblically responsible investing.
Yeah, and I haven't seen any plans yet, retirement plans.
We know one, but it's a Christian university.
And we see a few of those, but not many out there offer those biblically responsible investments. So once again, folks, if you have any comments or questions, please reach out to us at 254-282-0495 or visit our website.
You can text us at that number too.
That's right. SpendLifeWell.com is our web address. And also, too, make sure you give this video a like and follow us so that you can get updates for new podcast videos when they come out. Mm-hmm. And also share with a friend. We love to expand our audience. If you like the program, let us know. Thanks so much. Till next time, you've been listening to the Spend Life Well Show.